25 more families have been subject to the Pakistani ethnic cleansing policy. Tonight, I'm going to tell you about an update on a video I gave you 2 days ago about the fact now that we know housing associations, we know local councils, we know the taxpayer, and we know the government are all conspiring to ensure that you people are put out on the street in favour of immigrant families, principally from Pakistan, who do not deserve to either be in the United Kingdom and certainly don't deserve to have the social housing that you are entitled to. I'm going to tell you that tonight, the Patriot Fund, you and me, took a woman out who is living in a van and bought her a bowl of chips and indeed bought her a can of Coke, simply because she had been served with an eviction notice like 25 other families to make way for immigrant families. And I'm going to tell you what she told me about the house she used to live in. She knocked on the door of her old home and an Egyptian woman came to the door who couldn't even speak English and said, "Ma, Allah, 2 weeks in Britain. Allah has blessed me. 2 weeks in Britain." After 2 weeks, she received the home of this British woman, and this British woman now lives in a van. Hello everyone, this is Andre Walker. Thanks so much for watching this important video. By God, please do share this. And also, for those of you who donated to the Patriot Fund, the link is below. I genuinely think that a bowl of chips and a drink for this woman living in a van is absolutely appropriate. This video explains to you how they're getting away with what they are doing in terms of British apartheid and the racist housing policy that we are suffering from. And here's how they do it. As we already know, 7 out of 10 properties in London that are allocated for social housing go to people that were not born in the United Kingdom. Now, for absolutely months and years, I've been on this channel saying that, and I know lots of other people have talked about it, Nick Buckley and others, but we've never really known how they do it. Here's how they do it. Every local authority, when there's a new development, gets a social housing contingent, say 25%. Angela Rayner wants it up to 40%, but they hand it over to housing associations. Those housing associations now have been infiltrated by criminal gangs from outside the United Kingdom. And so in order to get housing, you have all these criteria. Some of you will be more familiar with those criteria than I am. But let me just be clear on something. If you are an emergency case, then you get the housing as a priority. So what do? They say that their friends are a priority case to ensure that they get in first. We've got in this development where 25 families were served with eviction notices under Section 21, which is no fault eviction, 25 families served with eviction notices. We've got people who work for the Pakistani tax ministry. We've got people who've come over with no skills. We've got people now being allocated property in that very building who are not even in the UK yet. In fact, now that is what is going to become a settler community. Principally, the plan is to make it an Urdu-speaking community. And I saw, as part of this development, the chapel tonight, which was supposed to be open to the public and remains a consecrated church. But of course, it's shut down. Had it been a mosque, it would have no doubt been allowed to stay open. What on earth is going on here? Well, I'll tell you what's going on. Every single city, every single town where we have talked about, where we've heard about properties going principally to migrants, are part of this scam. Because we all thought, well, how can I not get to the top of the housing priority ladder? Of course you can't. If every time there is a new plum property, emergency powers are used illegally in order to move a migrant family in, then you will never get that property. And so I've talked to you previously about social housing. And by the way, the lady I was talking to tonight doesn't agree with me on the abolition of social housing, although we were kind of quite funny about it, because I believe we should abolish social housing because I know that you and I have to pay for it, and it's only immigrants that are ever going to get it. She says we need to change the rules so our people get the social housing. I guess that's kind of the same thing. Look, every community in this country is now changing. I've talked previously on this channel about the fact that Wales remains British. Well, actually, a lot of these big housing association developments now have large contingents of migrants moving into them. And that is something which we need to notice. But I will tell you, the case that I'm talking about, and by the way, I just want to be sorry with, I just want to apologise to you. The reason I'm not giving you the full details about the 25 families, the reason why I'm not telling you who the woman living in the van is and all that, is because I just need to get much more detail, because I think this is going to be a huge national scandal. But let me talk more generally about it. If what I believe to be true is true, then this goes beyond anything we've ever known. This is a national scandal in which housing is being misappropriated, fraudulently misappropriated, in order to benefit Pakistani criminal gangs. And let's go further than that. The idea that these people are moving into the country specifically to take the housing is different to anything before. Now look, many of us have met people who are stupid enough to buy a holiday home. Apologies if you're in that group, but they often lose a fortune. You know, specifically going out to Spain in order to buy a property is one thing. Specifically coming to Britain in order to get a house allocated for the poor, the destitute of Britain is a really disgraceful thing. And then we understand about our friend from the tax ministry who apparently moved into this development, that she's still working there. She's working from home. So the Pakistani government has a member of staff who's based in this building. But imagine the situation that you would feel like. Imagine you were one of the families with small children. Imagine you were one of the pensioners who'd received an eviction notice and you saw before you the head of your residents association sleeping in a van because she opposed this. And you think to yourself, I'm next. My children are next. And there are people sat there in Lahore who have never visited the United Kingdom, who know that they're next too, who know that they are the people that are going to move into this development, that are going to benefit from the downfall of Britain. We are no longer being nice to people. We are now being invaded. We are now being destroyed. We are now being torn apart. What is the morality, Mr. Starmer? What is the morality, Mr. Khan? What is the morality to any of you, to God, or indeed to His Majesty, the King, whichever is more important in his eyes? What is the morality of throwing 8-year-old children, British children, out on the streets to house Pakistani families who have never even seen the United Kingdom? What is the morality of the Sadiq Khan policy, which we say will drop 50,000 people onto the streets of London in order to give those homes to people who have no connection whatsoever? What is the morality of a woman who bangs on the door of her old house? 2 weeks, Allah has blessed me, 2 weeks in the country. And she goes home to her van and I have to buy her a bag of chips and indeed a glass of orange juice. I said it was cola at the beginning. I lied. And I have to do that and you have to do that. Well, the Patriot Fund is on this. We are going to pursue this and we're going to hound these people like the animals that they are. Tonight, all we did was bought a glass of orange and a bowl of chips to a woman sleeping in a van. But by God, we'll do more than that. This ethnic cleansing has to stop. Britain has to stop it. And to those of you in the police, to those of you in the establishment who are watching this, trying desperately to think of a reason to lock me up, to stop me talking about it, we're only talking about criminality. What they're doing is not legal. You made the laws, not me. It's time you enforce them. Thank you so much to all of you who donated to the Patriot Club. This video is only possible because of your support.